Formally, I formally welcome you to the second day of Publishing Next. Thank you all for joining us here bright and early at 9, as I requested, or rather insisted. On a Saturday morning, as Vivek is reminded, in Goa, and and some people who were away somewhere last night would feel it much more. um, we are ready to begin our panel on the role of publishers in Indian languages. This panel discussion on Indian languages is a running theme in all Publishing Next editions, and this is one of the ways in which we try to put focus on the language publishing industries in India. And over time, we've tried to represent different languages. Sometimes we've had to repeat also, but we've had, I think, Tamil publishing covered before, and Bangla has also been featured because these are the stronger language industries in a way, due to sheer numbers. Hindi as well. So, but every panel we try and bring what are called major languages, minor languages. I'm putting everything in quote unquote just to make it easier, but I don't believe in these brackets of major and minor. However, the reality is that some languages, due to state support and various other factors, have an advantage over other languages in India. So we'll talk about a bit about that. This year I wanted to bring the discussion into focus about what publishers are really doing in the Indian languages, which in some ways is different than what happens in English language publishing in India. So I'd hope to conclude with some practical points about obviously there are challenges and how these challenges can be overcome. I think we start from that position of disadvantage in some ways, and I'm sure everybody will bring out their own kind of strengths and weaknesses that exist in their ecosystems. The one thing that I reiterate every time we do this panel and wherever we speak about Indian languages publishing is that it's not a homogeneous group. Indian languages is really different industries, and what applies in one place does not apply to another place. What applies for one language does not apply to another language. The Indian language publishers, in a sense, also work as ambassadors of their languages. They play a very, very, they have to play that role in order to make their books travel. So to that extent, they do a lot more in terms of how their books get made, how their books, get distributed. So on that note, I'd like to invite my panelists for this session today, which I will moderate. Nirmalda, may I please invite you on stage? And Kannan, Manuda, Andres, Shubhankar, Ruby, please come. This is going to be a bigger panel and a longer one as well. So it will be a 2-hour panel. Hopefully we'll have enough time for slightly lengthier discussions. And I'm now going to sit in the hot seat away from my announcer role. Satya, is anyone else coming, following you? Yeah, okay. So I'd like to begin by asking each of the speakers to give a brief introduction to a particular theme, and especially to the publishers, to talk about the trends that they see in their languages industries. But before that, I'm requesting Nirmalda, who has been the former director of, who has been the director of National Book Trust, New Delhi, and the editor of Indian Literature, which is the journal brought out by Sahitya Academy. He is currently the editorial director of Niyogi Books. He comes with a rich experience of not just publishing, but he's also a writer and translator in his own right, and has some fascinating stories about how some of the well-known books that we know today were even made. And having spent a bit of time with him, I've realized that these stories often don't come out unless I ask him. So, which is why I invited him here today. And I'd like him to talk about the role that Sahitya Academy has played in Indian languages publishing and the culture of translations that existed between Indian languages that never, that we are now sort of losing focus on. Because now when we talk about translations, we are talking about translations into English. But there has been in India a rich culture and diversity in how books have traveled between languages. So I'd like you to talk about this. Each speaker gets 5 minutes. Nirmalda will get a bit longer because it's a vast ground that I've asked him to. And yes, but it's better today, you said. So he will get a bit longer time because he's covering a broader canvas. So if you'd like to go there, or this is fine. This is fine.
This is fine. No? Good morning, everybody. Let me begin by offering my thanks and gratitude to Publishing Next for organizing this conference for the last 6 years without fail, without skipping even a single year. And even last year, they doubled it up by organizing a session in New Delhi World Book Fair also. This is my first time I am attending this conference here. And despite the thin attendance in this morning, which I hope does not necessarily speak our attitude towards language publishing. But despite this, I would think that the conference is going tremendously well, and yesterday it was very intense discussions. And my gray hair will tell you about my age, but yesterday I realized that cliche we often hear of a great man saying that I only know that I don't know anything. Because in the last session yesterday, so much interesting discussions came up regarding the imagination of the new content. And so many new things were there for me to learn. And, I almost concluded that I am too old a dog to learn a new trick. But yesterday I realized that, there is no point in your life when you can stop learning. Having said that, I'll come back to what Vinuta has ordered me to do. And but before that, let me also reiterate Vinuta's opening statement that we cannot perhaps just put into one bracket the language publishing scenario of India. It is not homogeneous, as you very rightly said. Each language has its own constraint. Each language has its own geopolitical realities to deal with. Each language, as she has suggested, has its own state patronage or absence of it. And each language has its own history also. There are a lot of funny little things which can tell you about the history of a language. Let me just share one small bit. I am a Bengali. We Bengalis will say Padma Vibhushan. We won't say Padma Vibhushan. So why is it so? Why in the Sanskrit it is Padma Vibhushan, and why the Bengalis say Padma Vibhushan, which is very quaint and very funny, And when I utter it in presence of my Delhi friends, they titter and smile, But this is because of the fact that the hardening of sound in Bengali took place because of the Pali influence. And many soft sounds were hardened by the impact of Pali. So this is not something to do with the Bengali tongue. This has something to do with the history of the language. Sorry, I have a bad throat, so I'm begging forgiveness in advance if there is any frequent interruptions. And before coming to translation part and Sahitya Academy part, Binuta, as you have given me a little more time, I would like to record here my sort of dismay at one particular situation in language publishing. Though the language publishing is thriving quite well in India, out of the 1 lakh odd books which are published in India, we are told, whatever statistics is available to us, is that 75% of them is from language publishing. So if 25,000 books are in English, then 75,000 books are in languages. And a constant, neo-literacy, a constant new readership coming up. All these things are happening in the languages. There's a tremendous demand on newspapers and glossy magazines, and every language of our country is now flooded with small magazines and glossies and tabloids and newspapers and all, because there's a book hunger. There is a hunger for reading. So that huge book hunger has to be fed by the languages. So that would generally give us a feeling that the situation is quite ripe for good things to happen in language publishing. But the dismay which I mentioned earlier is this, that I find there is a lamentable lack of sense of editing on editorial input in language publishing in India. Barring a very few exceptions in Malayalam, Bengali and Marathi, a very few publishers whom I have come across, generally speaking, a book, a manuscript after being written by the author is at the mercy of the proofreader only. Which has to change, which has to change unless there is editorial input, which is plenty there in the English language publishing scenario. Unless that is changed, unless a lot of editorial guidance, thoughts, and kind of synergy between the editor and the author takes place, then the situation cannot improve. And that is not to say of fiction only. I'm talking of non-fiction. I'm talking of trade books. I'm talking of academic books in general. And if we keep this particular nagging doubt and nagging irritation, an irritant out of the mind, then I will think that language publishing scenario otherwise is pretty, if not rosy, at least it is good. It is healthy, wholesome, and it is ready to give us good fruition in days to come. Let me give you two examples. One example, I can talk a little about Assamese because of my experience in working in Assam. Assam has the largest number of book fairs in the country. And all these book fairs are tremendously successful. There are 2 book fairs in Guwahati. There are book fairs in Jorhat, Dibrugarh, Tinsukia, everywhere. And when I was working in the Sahitya Academy as regional secretary of Calcutta office, I had to participate in these book fairs. And I saw that the greatest number of books sold in Assamese are through the book fairs. Number 2, I have seen there is a publisher called Bharati Publication. I'm sure none of you have heard his name. Bharati Publishers or Bharati Publication or something like that. And only a couple of months back, I came across a newsletter sent by Bharati Publication to me. And it is a state-of-the-art newsletter, We often pride ourselves from Niyogi books that we bring out a very good reader's corner, a glossy reader's corner kind of, reading material, giving information about books and things. But that Bharati Publication newsletter is also a wonderful, feast of reading material and a lot of informations about books. So in the nooks and corners of country, these things are happening. Then I am aware of Akshar Publisher in Agartala. Many of you know perhaps. They publish books in 5 languages. Regional language means not only Bengali, although Bengali is the dominant language of Tripura. But there is Kokborok, the tribal language. There is Dimasa, then there is Bishnupriya Manipuri. So all these languages are taken by Akshar, and they publish books in these languages. In around 10 years, they have brought out around 500 books, and they are publishing in English also. So things are happening. If such things are happening in Tripura and Assam, then I'm sure you can imagine that much better things are happening in Tamil Nadu or in Maharashtra and other places where strong language is there, strong language which a long history of literature. Coming to translation, yes, there is a sudden, bloom in the English translation scenario in our country during the last maybe 12 years, not more than that. I will not be able to say for certain, but if a statistics is taken and checklist or backlist of the major publishing houses are consulted, perhaps we can generate a new statistics which will show that even 15 years back, many of these publishers were not publishing translations more than 1 or 2 in a year. But during the last 10, 12 years, suddenly all the major publishers are in English translation of Indian books. Well, reason may not be very far to seek. One reason is that the buzzword that has been created by the Indian English writers, and one has to give the due to Indian English writers in this field, So many Indian English writers winning Booker Prize at a trot, beginning with Arundhati Rai, then we have Kiran Desai, we have Arvind Adiga and others. And before that, the great Salman Rushdie was always there. So I think after all these books were translated into many languages of the world, some smart publishers somewhere perhaps started thinking that if Indians are capable of producing such wonderful fiction in an alien language, then they might be producing better fictions in their mother tongue. And hence, translation of these literature from their mother tongue into English may perhaps provide us with better reading material. Perhaps such kind of I'm sure it is not a linear thought like that, but such kind of churning or such kind of brainstorming did happen in some places. And after that, there was a concerted effort. Otherwise, suddenly, all the publishers cannot converge to one particular activity on a fine morning.
There's market research.
There's market research, yes. So this is happening. But our concern here is not English translation, but translation amongst inter-Indian languages. And I have worked with both Sahitya Academy and National Book Trust. Both these organizations have large translation projects. National Book Trust has a project called Adan Pradhan, give and take. In this Adan Pradhan series, books are translated from one Indian language into another Indian languages, and not in English. I'm underlining the word "not" here. So the Adan Pradhan series was actually conceived in such a manner that the emphasis is on translation amongst Indian languages. And it had another liberating factor, which was not there in Sahitya Academy. I'll come to that by and by. Another liberating factor was there. In Adan Pradhan, it was not restricted by any selection criterion. An author is selected. The best book so far written by the author, which is generally considered to be his masterpiece, amongst his own language reading zone. That particular book is picked up by National Book Trust for his Adan Pradhan series. And then that book is translated into all the other languages. And when I say in all the other languages, it is easier said than done. Because, if we have 22 languages recognized in our constitution. So into all other languages means what? Means by mathematical figure is n into n minus 1. So 22 into 19. So many books have to be brought out, once you select a particular book. So that series is going on pretty well. And towards the later half, I think that the last 7-8 years back, a decision was taken that, okay, some of these books will be translated into English also. But that did not necessarily dilute from the original attempt of interlingual translation. In case of Sahitya Akademi, things are a little different. Sahitya Akademi selection of books is to a certain extent restricted by the fact that you are to take the book which has got the Academy Award. So this year, a Konkani book gets the Academy Award. The project is this Konkani book will be translated into 22 other Indian languages. Mind you, in Sahitya Akademi it is 23. Apart from the constitution, they have one additional language within their recognition list. It is Sanskrit. Sanskrit. So this is a huge project, and naturally it does not happen, It's not possible that within 1 year or 2 years or 3 years you will bring out 500 translations of a particular book. It does not happen like that, but the attempt is on, and a lot of translations are taking place in both Sahitya Akademi and National Book Trust. But on a different trajectory, 2 minutes. On a different trajectory, I would like to believe that translation should happen or should have happened without the support of the state-run institutes. Where are those days when Ramayana was translated into all Indian languages, translated or adapted into all Indian languages? Where was Sahitya Akademi? Where was National Book Trust? Where was the government support? We know that Ramayana has been done by Balaram Das into Odia. It has been done into Bengali by Kashiram Das. It has been done into Assamese by Madhav Kandali. We all know about Kamban's Ramayana in Tamil, Eluchachan's Ramayana in Malayalam, and Chandaja's Ramayana in Maithili. Tulsidas, of course, is there. So all these adaptations and translations took place in our country in a rather spontaneous manner. The movement of a great classic, the movement of a book from one language into another happened in India in a seamless manner without much hallabaloo attached to it. And why Ramayana? Come on the later days of Sharat Chandra, come on the later days of Bankim Chandra. Sharat Chandra's novels, Bankim Chandra's novels were translated into all Indian languages. But the market supported it, the market dynamics supported it. And this is how it was available in all the languages. And there was no government support, there was no government bodies were there at all at those days. Now the moot question today is that despite the tremendous effort being made by Sahitya Akademi and National Book Trust, have we really matured enough to receive the translations from one language into another language with a kind of market support being there? Is it a self-sustaining activity or not? That has to be taken into consideration. I am not saying it is not, but I am craving your indulgence to have a little look into this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirbita. Thank you so much. I now request Mr. Manu Das, who is here from Bhubaneswar. He is an Odia writer and translator, as well as a publisher. He publishes under the imprint of Dhauli Books. He also edits and, he manages it also. He started the tri-quarterly literary magazine called Dhauli Review, and he also edits a magazine called Chero, which is actually here with me. This is his magazine. I'd like him to give us a quick run-through of what is happening in Odia language publishing, what are the current trends and some of the unique aspects of Odia publishing in terms of how books get made, how they get distributed, if there are any, the challenges, and what kind of solutions that you see in this situation. But only 5 minutes, okay. So very quick.
Thank you, Vinuta, and Publishing Nest for giving me opportunity to vent my angers. In fact, the situation in Odisha, what Dada told, Nirmalda told, is not that rosy. Aji gave a very good picture. Let me just tell you one thing, that Sahitya Academy and NBT publishes translations, but are hardly available in our state. And I always feel that there is a non-existence of any network. They have their officers, but they don't bother to sell it. Unless until you are mad after a book and to try to personally to get a book, it is difficult to get Sahitya Academy book or NBT book in a state capital. Well, there is no much improvement. Only thing is there are two types of publishers in Odisha. One is orthodox publishers. They had created rather a good number of writers. In the 1980s, since I am almost 40 years into this writing line, and I have seen during the 80s, we had a very good number of good, brilliant writers produced ever in Indian, in Odia literature, in fiction, in poetry. In poetry, we have given Sitakanta Mahapatra, Ramakanta Ratho, J.P. Das, Saubhagya Mishra. So many people are there. And in fiction, there is a list, Gopinath Mahanti, and many more to quote. Krishna Prasad Mishra, Kishori Charan Das, etc. But unfortunately, there is a downfall in writing caliber, or brilliant writers are not available at the moment. But yes, publishers are brilliant publishers because of the technology has come, and you will get a very good book. Earlier, you were waiting for years together, or at least 3-4 years you have to wait to, if at all, it is God's grace that you can get published by the orthodox publishers. But in today, it takes only 4 hours to get a book. How? It is an interesting question. I have personally seen one publisher. What happens? They Photoshop it, publish 7-8 copies, and go for a releasing. There will be a lot of halawalu. Next morning there will be in a press release, you will see, and that's the end of it. No distribution, nothing. The writer is happy. If you want to be a writer and spend from your own pocket, they are all available, mushrooming in the city. And if you want to be a writer, I can make you in 4 hours time given. That is what is the reality I am talking of. There are some young, brilliant writers, but absolutely there is no network of distribution. It is almost all dead. Only for magazines are available. And that is also not an encouraging one. Excepting 2-3 magazines in Odisha, no other magazine publishes their magazine throughout the year. During this Puja festival in September, October, there will be 100 minimum magazines full of advertisements, private and public. Government supports advertisements. They publish once in a year. It will be around 700 to 800 pages, bulky, chronicle type. And the publishing runs more, the maximum 200 to 300 copies. That is the reality. So we may talk very blah blah, but the ground reality is something else. People do not like to read. If at all I publish a book, all my friends ask, "Bhai, where is my copy?" So if you don't give the copy, you are a bad writer. So I have many things to tell, but I have been giving.
We'll bring some of those out. I'm sure.
Anyhow, we have 5 book fairs in city Bhubaneswar itself. Apart from 30 districts, there are the district book fairs. But all the books on computer science, engineering, medical books are sold. Literature books are almost all, in very small amount it is sold. The young publishers are fighting tooth and nail for the survival. There is no government support. There is no readers support. And they are blamed that they are vanity publishers. This is the real problem. And we do not have at all a network. But now I came to know this morning that a news hunt has gone through, signed some, there is no agreement with any writers. There is no contract. Contract is a non-existent in Oriya literature between a writer and a publisher. Yes. I do not know about other Indian languages, but that is the whole problem. If you have no other job, you will die simply as a writer. And not a single writer in Odisha, Nirmalda knows it very well because he is quite aware of Odisha's. All the writers are bureaucrats. If you are an IAS, then you are a very good writer. If you are a state civil service cadre, you are little bit less better writer. Like this. This is the reality. Thanks.
Thank you, Manuda. We'll bring out some more. I'll ask you a few more questions that are more pointed.
Please, most welcome.
I'm going to, before we go this way, I'm going to ask Subhankar to tell us a bit, but let me first introduce Subhankar. I'm sorry that I have to turn these pages for my notes. Who is at the back? Huh? It's okay, they can hear us. It's a small auditorium. So I'm pleased to introduce Subhankar De, who's here. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I never get it right. It is Shubhankar. No, I keep saying Subhankar. Shubhankar De, who is here from Calcutta. He comes from the family of De's Publishing, who are pioneers in Bengali book publishing and trade. They also have a very successful distribution company, which is, I think, the largest distribution setup for Bengali books in Bengal. And they have national and international reach. I wasn't very sure if you also do translations as part of your publishing list. You do. Okay. I'd like you to talk a bit about that. And Shubhankar will speak in Hindi, and I'll do a quick summary translation in English for the benefit of a few speakers who may not follow it.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. आज यहाँ रोल ऑफ पब्लिशिंग इन इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस इस विषय में बोलने के लिए मुझे बुलाया गया है. आई एम थैंकफुल टू पब्लिशिंग नेक्स्ट मुझे इनविटेशन देने के लिए. बांग्ला भाषा केवल वेस्ट बंगाल में ही नहीं है, ये आसाम और त्रिपुरा में भी है. केवल बंगाली ही नहीं, मुझे सारे ऐसे लोग भी हैं जो बंगाली ना होते हुए भी बांग्ला से सीखने के लिए यहाँ पे आते हैं और कई भाषा फैलते हैं, पॉपुलर होते हैं इस भाषा की संस्कृति और साहित्य के ज़रिए. हम लोग लाकी है, हम लोग ऐसे एक माध्यम को लेकर काम करते हैं जिनके साथ भाषाओं की संबंध होगा ही होगा. बांग्ला किताब का मार्केट ऐसे बहुत बड़ा है क्योंकि यही एकमात्र रीजनल लैंग्वेज है जो दूसरे एक देश की नेशनल लैंग्वेज भी है. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट बांग्लादेश. इतना बड़ा मार्केट होते हुए भी हम लोग चाहते हैं कि बांग्ला किताबें भारतीय और वर्ल्ड की दूसरे भाषाओं में ट्रांसलेटेड हो. ये केवल फाइनेंशियल दिख को सोच के नहीं, इस लैंग्वेज की लिटरेचर का डिमांड देखते हुए भी हम लोग ऐसे सोचते हैं. इसलिए हम लोग आभारी है रविन्द्रनाथ टैगोर, शरत चंद्र, बंकिम चंद्र, उसके बाद महाश्वेता देवी, अदर है शरदिंदु बंदोपाध्याय, विभूतिभूषण बंदोपाध्याय, ऐसे बहुत सारे लीजेंड ऑथर हैं. आई एम वेरी लकी, मेरे पब्लिशिंग हाउस फिलहाल बंगाल में लीडिंग पब्लिशिंग हाउस में एक है। अभी देश पब्लिशिंग में करीब 5000 टाइटल पब्लिश्ड हुए हैं। उसमें बहुत सारे बेस्ट सेलिंग बुक्स है, जिसका डिमांड केवल बंगाल में नहीं, केवल भारत में नहीं है, वर्ल्ड वाइड है। आशा कर सकते हैं इस काम से और इसी प्रतिष्ठान से हम लोग बरकरार रखेंगे।
Quickly to summarize what Shubhankar said, he was just alerting us that Bengali is not just spoken in West Bengal, but also spoken in Tripura and in Assam. And later he said that Bangla is also, of course, spoken in Bangladesh, so the market is much bigger than outside of India. And many people speak the language. Many people also who are not Bengali come to learn the language in Bengal. And sorry.
वर्ल्ड में बंगाल स्पीकर पोजीशन है 5th पोजीशन में।
5th position. It's the 5th most spoken language in the world, yes. And he was telling us that they would like for Bangla books to travel outside of India, not just for commercial reasons in translation, but because of the love of language and the literature that the language offers. That was the inference I drew from what you said. And he was telling us that Desh Publishing has published about 5,000 titles that have worldwide demand, not just in India. Right? Thank you so much. That was a summary of what you said. You did speak a little bit more than that. But I will come back to you with some more pointed questions about Bangla trade in books, etc. But I'll just first ask Karnan to please introduce a bit about the current trends of Tamil publishing and translations, which only you do.
Good morning.
Wait, I didn't introduce you.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Of course, many of us know Karnan has been in the news lately for a different reason, but he
Wrong
is
reasons.
no, for the right reasons. He is the publisher of Kalachuvudu Books, a Tamil publishing house, which is located in the tip of India, in Nagarkoil, which is very close to Kanyakumari. He has he's one of the leading literary publishers of Tamil Nadu today. And he also edits a magazine called Kalachuvudu, which is a monthly. Karnan has been active in bringing many books in translation into Tamil, as well as being able to license many of his publications into other languages, which he'll talk more about. And later today, he will also make a presentation on the case for a translation program that India needs, which will follow this session, or a couple of sessions later. Karnan, please, sorry.
In the last 10 years, I have been to many publishing meetings and conferences. And everywhere, the networking and introductions will start on a dinner the day before the seminar. But in Publishing Next, every time it starts at the Panaji airport, right outside the airport, as you're waiting for the publishers to arrive, and all of us can get into a bus and come to a city, we start talking right there. So this year, I was talking to our senior Tamil publisher, Mr. Gandhi Kannadasa. And he was sounding, and he always is, very bullish about the prospects for Tamil publishing, the present and the future. And I tend to agree with them. When we talk of Tamil publishing, it is not again confined to the state of Tamil Nadu. Though Tamil Nadu is the axis for publishing for the last century or so, there is small and large presses publishing Tamil books in Sri Lanka, in Singapore, in Malaysia, and after the huge immigration of Tamil migrants to Europe and the West, there are books being published in Paris, London, and Toronto, and maybe more. So I think that is one of the reasons that Tamil publishing has a geographical diversity that is not probably present for other Indian languages. Secondly, if you map the printing centers of India today, there are two major hubs that fall within the state of Tamil Nadu, Chennai and Sivagasi. This has enhanced our print culture to a great extent. Another notable aspect now is the diversity of the publishing community. While in the early part of the last century, publishing was the passion of Natukottai Chettiars and to some extent the Brahmins, now the publishing industry is representative of every ideological, caste, religious and cultural diversity of Tamil Nadu. This has two significant impacts. One, it has enhanced the bibliodiversity of Tamil books. Secondly, it has ensured that the domination of the publishing industry by any one publisher is now nearly impossible. Though there are big publishers, they do not or they are unable to exert any control over the Tamil publishing market. Every publisher is confined to his own space. A new publisher can emerge if they have the required capital, both in terms of finance and ideas. Tamils who had immigrated to other parts of the world over the last few centuries from our traditional homelands in India and Sri Lanka, they were the pioneers in synchronizing Tamil with the then advent new digital technologies. I would say that Tamil is among the more developed languages in terms of integration with the new technologies of publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Andres Blatnik. Blatnik, am I pronouncing that correctly? Who has come here all the way from Slovenia. We are very delighted to have him here at Publishing Next this year. He teaches at the University of Ljubljana. He teaches publishing studies and publishing studies, and he has edited a book series of modern classics which included Amitav Ghosh, Vikram Seth, R.K. Narayan and Tagore. He's an old India friend and has come to India several times. He has published 3 novels, 5 collections of short stories, 3 books of cultural studies, and literature and digital, to literature in digital age, and how-to books. His stories were translated into more than 30 languages and published in literary magazines and various anthologies, including the Best European Fiction 2010. He has won many major Slovenian literary awards and is invited to speak at and read at several international programs. I'd invite him to talk to us about how Europe, with all its diversity of languages, deals with its language hierarchies and politics, in a sense. Please.
Thank you, Vinuta, for this very kind introduction. And still you might be asking yourself, what is this guy from Slovenia doing on a panel called The Role of Publishers in Indian Languages, except having a very good time, as always, when he is in India. Well, maybe one of the reasons is that maybe I can add to the perspective, maybe highlight some brighter notes on how things work with translation. First, let me tell you something about Slovenia. It's a small country with 2 million population. That means population is almost the size of Goa, and 2 million is exactly the number of people that are in US prisons at the moment. So to get us on some scale, still, although this language seems to be smaller than most, if not all official Indian languages, we still have quite a lively publishing scene. I was able to do a little calculation beforehand, and if this information about 1 lakh of publications every year in India is correct, this means like approximately 1 title per 10,000 inhabitants in India, whereas in Slovenia there are like 6,000 titles published every year, which means 1 title per 300 inhabitants. This already gives you one of the reasons why books in Slovenia do not sell. The other, maybe even more crucial reason is that an average book price in Slovenia is something like 1,500 rupees. it is true that standard is a bit higher, but it's not that high that people would be buying books. So we have quite different situation. Approximately, an average Slovenian buys like 3 books per year, but he or she borrows 12 books from public libraries. So public library system is very vital for the Slovenian publishing. They buy a lot of books, of course, more than the population itself, more than physical persons. It would be possible, though, if the Slovenian state would be giving like triple support to the publishers, and this is also the case with some other European countries. First of all, some books are supported directly, so you can get a grant to publish that kind of a book, a special book. This goes for about 10% of book promotion, excluding, of course, Vanity Press, which does exist also in Slovenia, but to a smaller extent than I just heard about your situation. The other thing is that the public libraries are buying books, and the third thing is that the books have less of a tax. Value-added tax for the books is less than for other products, except for food. Still, there are quite a few ways to support publishing in minor languages all over Europe. There are some European trends in subventions that specialize actually in translations. So the trend of support for books in Europe generally is for translation. Some Catalan writers said that the common language of European literature is translation. That might be true. There are quite a few funds. And this also somehow brings out some task of the book that seems to be forgotten in contemporary time every now and then. There is a social writer called Benedict Anderson who published the books Imagined Communities. And he said that books are actually, or newspapers in that regard, are making nations as nations. For example, you know this through Gandhi's experience when he was establishing various newspapers to emphasize the feeling of being Indian. This is still the case that goes on in Europe, and we have now publishing on the rise in some languages that almost ceased to exist 20 years ago, such as Basque, Welsh, to some extent Catalan and Irish. Some of those don't have a nation state. Basque, Catalan, and Welsh still do not have a nation state. Slovenia is very new in that. We exist since 1991 as a state. But this definitely somehow creates additional audience, because people who did not read in this, so to say, vernacular languages in European terms now are learning more and more those languages. Of course, it wouldn't work without a heavy state support. I sincerely doubt that in a country with 2 million people speaking the language, or maybe a few 100,000 to a little less than that, these books would be able to survive on market basis only, but that would definitely lead to the diminishing, to the evaporation of a certain nation, which is not a good thing to happen. Actually, the way to do it maybe was very good explained yesterday by the Indian academic publisher, who said, we used to buy all the stuff from the US. We used to buy rights. Now we are selling these rights outside, and this was also emphasized in the very beginning. And I must tell, with all the Slovenian book sector, which is like, I would say, maybe 120 publishing houses, the biggest publishing house, when they decided to open a website bookstore, they hired some guys from Bangalore. They are doing it constantly. So this is one way how to connect within the global situation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andres. I'm going to come back to you on a few of those points you raised in a while. Ruby, I'd like you to talk to us about, because I think you're going to talk to us a little bit about more fundamental issues that other languages take for granted. And so let me first introduce Ruby, of course. Ruby is here from Kolkata. She has co-founded a publishing house, Adivani, which is a documentation and publishing company for the literature and knowledge base of the Adivasis. She will tell us a bit more about her work, as well as the later. But first, something more fundamental for all of us. Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Vinita. So I come from and represent the space of marginal and marginalized languages. So I leave it to you to quote and unquote those. But yes, I want to present the very fundamental ways in which we navigate the written word or text. We are a people of orality, come from a tradition of orality, and we are people now of non-scripts or new scripts. Now, most of these scripts are either borrowed or adopted ones, and mostly borrowed or adopted from the regional dominant languages. And of the 22 official languages that everyone's been talking about, there are 2 Adivasi or tribal languages. One is Boro and one is Santali. Now, in the Santali language, we have 5 scripts. Now, what that actually spells out is a whole different story. So, navigating or kind of negotiating with 5 scripts, one being Bangla, Devanagari, you have Oriya, you have the Roman script, and also a new script called the Olchiki. So when you look at all of these scripts, what's primarily happening with a lot of indigenous languages is that we are riding on the backs of a lot of dominant regional scripts. So for indigenous languages, piggybacking like this, either we look at Hindi or let's say Bangla as a foreign language or an Indian language as we view English. So for us, English is as foreign or local as Hindi or Bangla. So I, for example, use English as a crutch to take my publication forward. And when you look at a new trend that is emerging with a lot of indigenous languages actually dying out, this culture of hybrid languages is coming up. So in Northeast India, you have Nagamis, for example. In the Chota Nagpur belt, you have something called Nagpuri or Sadri. So when people meet me, they don't expect me to know Santali or speak in Santali or publish in Santali. So they tell me, do you know Sadri? Now, Sadri is again a spoken language. So what I'm trying to actually understand from all of us, and I think we can all contribute towards that, is how do languages like ours, which are already marginalized, then moving into a trend of creating new languages of hybrid languages, how do we cope when it comes to publishing? So we don't know what's happening. So from being marginalized languages, we are becoming hybrid languages, and how do we actually publish them?
Yes, that's a big question. But I'm going to make a few notes on some of the things that struck me when each of the speakers was speaking, and I'll start off from what Ruby is asking here and tie it into what Andres was saying about how languages need nation states. Because one of the earliest conversations I had before Konkani was even, Konkani is my mother tongue, was even accepted into the scheduled language list. I was having an informal discussion with someone on the politics of language, and he said, unless you have a state, it's never going to, your language will never become important enough. Because the minute it gets accepted in the scheduled list, it comes with a whole sort of state support, funding, etc., etc. So this need for a nation state, I mean, I'm not saying everyone should campaign for it, but it seems to be the case that unless a language gets a territory and all the problems that come with that, so we are moving in, we seem to be moving in that direction in our country, in a sense that unless we have a location to pin that language to, somehow the language becomes marginalized. And some of these things, I mean, in Karnataka itself, the state where I come from, we have 5 languages coexisting, but very seldom, they're acknowledged very rarely that, you know, Tulu is I mean, it's only spoken in Karnataka, but will never get mentioned, for instance, in the context of Karnataka. Which is why they are now fighting for statehood. Kurgi is fighting for statehood in Karnataka. Konkani, on the other hand, had to put up such a massive resistance to the domination by Marathi in this area. And now Konkani is written in 5 scripts. And the officially recognized script is Devanagari. So everyone who wrote in Romi, and you were trying to bring that up earlier, right? That everyone who's writing in other scripts also then becomes, if there's an officially recognized scripts, then those who have been writing in the other scripts what happens to them. So these, I think this is something that you've experienced in Santali, isn't it?
Yes. So what happens is, for example, Sahitya Academy only recognizes the All-Chiki as the accepted script for submission. So that primarily denies speakers, readers, writers of the other scripts a chance of getting that recognition or readability. And then when it comes to Santals, we can only be, let's say, literate in one or two of those scripts. So for me, I'm comfortable with the Roman script. Now, what happens to me when someone in All-Chiki is winning so many awards, and I think, oh, wonderful, this person is, well recognized, probably very good, but how do I know? I can't read his writings. How do I know whether he's good or bad? So what happens, I think, primarily within indigenous languages, we're going to go back and fall back into, again, orality, because then I'm going to ask that writer, why don't you read out the book to me? I mean, not him per se, or her, whoever. Read it out to me or perform it for me. How else am I going to negotiate with that script that I don't know?
Yeah. And I've met a few translators who don't really read the script of the language, but listen to it and translate because they know the language but can't read the script, and then listen and translate. But this is a challenge that Europe actually faces less, because the Latin script is common to most languages, isn't it?
For me, it's also a challenge because if someone speaks Serbian to me, I could fluently speak Serbian, but it's written in Cyrillics, which I cannot possibly read. It is also a problem in Europe, but to a smaller degree.
I mean, we face this. Yeah.
I'd just like to point out here that an organization like Sahitya Academy is not exactly, it's not like that the Sahitya Academy is a faceless body or an executive body which thrusts decision upon the language community. It's not like that. I am aware how All-Chiki was selected by Sahitya Academy as the official script of the Santalis. For this, Sahitya Academy instituted a committee of the Santali experts from Bengal, Odisha, Jharkhand, and other parts of the country. All these experts in Santali deliberated upon the topic for days together, and they recommended, who is Sahitya Academy? So a few officers sitting there. So they recommended that after discussing the pros and cons of all the scripts, it is recommended that one particular script has to be adopted if our language is to reach somewhere. Otherwise, the anarchy, so far as the script is concerned, will remain. Accepting that recommendation, Sahitya Academy ultimately decided to recognize All-Chiki as the script of the Santalis. And then Sahitya Academy approached the government of India to release special grants so that the Santali books written in Bengali script, Roman script, Odia scripts, etc., can be transliterated into All-Chiki, so that All-Chiki becomes the clearinghouse of the Santali literature. So that is how the decision is taken. We have to be very careful when we discuss these things, because there is no despotic tendency here, or there is no imposition by any central institute here.
No.
And then secondly, when you mention of multi-scripting and nation-state-less, or state-less languages, that eminently applies to Sindhi and Urdu also.
Absolutely, yes.
Sindhi does not have a state, Urdu doesn't have a state, for that matter, English doesn't have a state.
Yes, but English has the country to the
English does not have a state. So, as a country, but that's notional. We are talking of state, we are talking of formal aspects of this, of the circumstances. So these are very tricky issues, and we cannot generalize on these issues very easily.
True. I mean, the practicality of selecting a script so that, medium of instruction can be decided, etc., exists. But I think we cannot gloss over what it does to a completely different, the other parts of the ecosystem. In the sense, one of the things that has been happening in Konkani, and last year we heard about this from Gurudat, is that we are now using technology. The Konkani Foundation in Mangalore is using technology to transliterate between scripts, so that even whichever script you write in, you can actually transliterate it into the other script of Konkani. So they're developing this platform and refining it. And when I used it 2 years ago, it was still in its very early stages. But I hope that over time, these kind of tools can come into, to help us not then restrict languages to scripts. And especially, I mean, script is an imposition at one level, because there, again, because of script, there is documentation, there is publishing, and the whole orality and the focus on orality completely goes away. And as we saw yesterday, it probably will come back through technology again, through YouTube and through other means.
So that counterbalance. That counterbalance have to be there. Script ipso facto is a limiting factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
But at the same time, script by the very definition of it is a necessary evil also. It's a necessary evil. You cannot do without it also if you want to develop your language, because it's not an ideal situation that we fall back upon orality once again.
Sure.
Let me share with you one example. Here in case of Olchiki, Ruby, it is a conscious effort on the part of a particular institute to do something about it. But I'll give you an example where there was no conscious effort, but where there is an imposition. Let us take the case of Manipuri. What is the script of Manipuri? Till 2 years back, Manipuri script was Bengali script. Now, 2.5 years back, an underground organization in Manipur who are revivalist in nature and terrorist in outfit, that underground organization gave an ultimatum to the government of Manipur that we must go back to Thai script, which is a Tibeto-Burman script. Now, by which standard Tibeto-Burman Thai script becomes the original within quote of Manipur, I don't know. Because that script also came to Manipur because of the Burmese invasion. Okay? But that ultimatum was given by the terrorist outfit to the government of Manipur. Government of Manipur naturally didn't want to accept it. But then just to a certain extent, to douse the anger of the underground organization. And the diktat of the underground organization rules the roost in Manipur. In Manipur, there is no off shop for liquor, because the underground organization has banned liquor. Not the government of Manipur. And why the underground organizations have banned liquor? So that they can earn revenue, because you will find liquor in every pawn shop. You can go to Manipur, Imphal, buy liquor in every pawn shop, but only the government is not getting the tax out of it. But underground organizations are getting the revenue out of it. So when government wanted to pacify them by again organizing a committee of great Manipuri scholars, all of whom unanimously recommended to the government of India that we cannot negate our great Hindu Vaishnav past. Manipur converted to Vaishnavism because of Chaitanya and Shankardev to a certain extent. So they did, and all the literature and scripture of Manipur is written in Bengali script. So they suggested that this is not possible. Then what happened? 2 bombs were blast in front of the assembly and in front of the house of Manipur, residence of Manipur chief minister. And a situation was created in such a manner that the government of Manipur was compelled to take a decision in the legislative assembly that henceforth Thai will be the script of the Manipuri language. And now there is a total confusion. If you go to Imphal, you will find most of the signboards are written in Thai script. Below this, there will be English. And that Thai script is read by whom? Neither by me, nor by Binuta, nor by Ruby, nor by any Manipuri. It is only symbolic, It is symbolic that we are reviving back to our past. Past of what past? How do you quantify past? One does not know. So that is the
We
situation.
find that even happening with Sanskrit now, isn't it, in some extent? Yeah. But just moving on to some sort of now publishing aspects of the discussion, I'm going to call on Karnan to, I think one of the most fundamental issues that Indian languages publishing faces, I mean there are many, but one is distribution and the distribution network. And most publishers actually are integrated, meaning they either own a bookshop and have their own distribution network. There are no third-party distributors, etc. So how do books really reach readers among Tamil readers? I won't even say Tamil Nadu, but among Tamil readers all over the world.
See, there are some traditional ways, and there are new ways emerging to reach the reader. It's not working. So what I've seen is that we do have bookshops across Tamil Nadu, almost in every town. Sometimes general bookshops, sometimes textbooks. Some become textbook shops in the season, and then after that they become general bookshops. But they are there in almost every town of Tamil Nadu. We don't have any major distributors who are very dependable. So generally every book company has its own distributing system. Some would say if they can make the demand, pay money and take the books. So the books are in big demand, they can dictate that. Others would say that you take the book and as you sell, give us the money. And some would say you have to settle the whole bill at 90 days. So this is as per the publisher and the bookseller's decision. So then you send out books, you send out your marketing people and go and make the collections. That is one system. What is happening now is also that there are a lot of book fairs emerging across Tamil Nadu. Chennai was a huge phenomenon which really has grown into a very big event, and most publishers would sell from 10 to 30% of their annual sale just in those 10 days in Chennai Book Fair. There are book publishers who would just come to Chennai Book Fair and sell, and for the rest of the year they will only give away to readers who want those books and come back next year with more books. But now we have major book events in Erode, in Madurai, in Coimbatore, and even in smaller towns. So those help the publisher and the reader or the bookseller directly connect to the readers and sell the books. And of late, there are about more than 20 online stores in Tamil that sell Tamil books to within India, and some of them sell books abroad. Then also you have this traditional Flipkart or Amazon. They're also doing this. E-books are emerging. And Satya's company, NHM, they do a very interesting thing that if you make a call in Chennai to their outlet, they deliver the book to your address within Chennai. So that's a phone call system. So all these methods are being
all across Tamil Nadu, India, anywhere.
okay.
Tamil book from any Tamil publisher delivered anywhere.
But you home delivery you do only in Chennai.
No, home delivery through VPP anywhere.
VPP, okay. Yeah, but in Chennai I think you do directly use.
But the thing is, you can dial in a phone call.
Yeah, for dial in and get a book. Dial for books. So that's an industry system they have formed. It's also very, I think it's working well, seeing the monthly check I get from them. So.
And we pay cash and buy.
They pay cash and buy.
Okay.
They pay cash and buy.
Okay, very good. Yes, okay. So all that the systems are being invented to reach the reader. But again, I would say, 10 years back, in 2007, I think I was in Germany on this program. And when I saw that distribution they have, I mean, that's a very complete working system that you publisher, only publishers. He publishes the books and then hands over to a distributor. And then they take care of the rest. And within 12 hours, 24 hours, if you order a book, you get it. Even if the book is not in print, they did this print on demand, which will reach you within 24 hours in those days, or 48 hours. So that's a complete, evolved book market. I think we have a long way to go. This book fairs, though they are very, very good, I think they also show the lack of a proper distribution channel and a proper network that has not emerged. That a reader anywhere in Tamil Nadu or India wants a book, he should get it within a short time, and that does not happen. That's why we have all these stopgap arrangements.
Yes. Chennai Book Fair is a very interesting place to visit. If you're ever in the south in January, it goes on for 14 days, right? 14 days. And I meet people when I've been there. I've met people who come the first day, they'll collect all the catalogs, they'll go back home, they'll mark up all the catalogs, then they'll come for the next 3-4 days and go and start. And then there'll be discussions. They'll stand at the stand. All the publishers are there. All the publishers, yeah. They'll all be there. They'll all be discussing. So everyone who comes there gets to meet a few authors. They get to meet the publisher. These are very important because this whole and they'll always be crowding around the stall. You'll never find the stall empty at any point. And there'll be people who'll come with a budget every day to buy books. I mean, some of this you of course see in New Delhi World Book Fair also, but it was unique to me to see in Chennai the kind of interaction that publishers had with the readers. Very, very personalized. Everyone knows who the publisher is by face, which is a very unique thing, I think. I'm just going to ask Manuda, because you said there's it's non-existent, the distribution. So is there, what are the innovative methods that publishers like you have to adopt to make your books available to readers?
Thank you. In fact, let me tell you, regarding the literary books, I am telling that there is no networking. But regarding the academic books, let me be clear, there is very well networking there, and there is no problem. Only thing is the people, those who are the publishing only literature books, are in real problems. Now, there is no doubt, the whole thing, let me tell you in one thing, that even if I have so many Odia books in myself, my son does not read it. He does not know how to read even Odia, unfortunately. Because that is the situation with everybody's house. So what I mean to say, I am a part of it, that problem. So even if the books are there, sent by Raja Ram Mohan library books to every villages to library, the condition of a library is also very, very precarious. So reading habit is in the decline. Yes, Chaitanya Bhagat, my son has read it. But if you ask who is Kiran Nagarkar, he will not able to see. He will immediately go to Google, and after 2 minutes he can teach me who is Kiran Nagarkar. The only thing is that e-publishing is now the only medium where you can get, because everybody has a mobile. I mean to that mobile applications and e-publishing is the order of the day. And cost wise it is also not much. The publisher has not to go door to door for supplying books and do not know whether that book, that money will return or not. It will not return in the almost case, if he is not so lucky. So what I have thought to go for, this is the purpose I have come to this place, to educate myself how the e-publishing is going on and what is the climate in the country, and listen. Actually, I have come as a listener. I have not come as a speaker. I want to learn that what is the opportunity. And my next opportunity, because I am publishing one e-magazine called Dhauli Review. It is doing very well. Of course, before...
how many subscribers does it have?
You are asking a publisher regarding a subscriber.
Okay, let me rephrase that, sorry.
Just it is like asking a girl what's your age, or a boy, what's the salary.
That because publishers are shy to tell us how they're doing, we don't have statistics in this country.
Okay, let me tell you, when it was free, around 3,500,000 people visited, 50,000 people visited in a year. But it is some thousand now, because it is only 50 rupees, and 150 rupees per year you have to pay. And my magazine enjoys the credibility of publishing all the who's who of the country, because the purpose is to showcase the brilliant Indian literature. In spite of that, most of my friends, without going through the detail, they send me congratulations mail wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And I know they have not purchased it, because the moment they purchase, the intimation will come to me. I know it. Only the list who have been published, they saw it, they see it, and after that they send the message. We are living in a very typical situation.
I'll come to questions shortly, but just give me 5 minutes to engage. Shubhankar, because you do distribution of books as well, and how does it work in Bangla? How are you able to? I mean, you have a good book retail system in the state, right? Very good arrangement.
আসলে বাংলায় পাবলিশারদের মানে ডিস্ট্রিবিউটার বলে কিছু নেই, ওরা ডিরেক্ট বই বিক্রি করে। যে পাবলিশার ওরাই অ্যাকচুয়ালি কাস্টমারকে ওরাই বইটা দেয় আর কি। তো এখানটায় কোনো মাধ্যম নেই, একদম ডিরেক্ট যে পাঠক সে সরাসরি তার কি বই দরকার বা কি ধরনের সে বই চাইছে এটা ডিরেক্ট পাবলিশার সরাসরি বুঝতে পারে, তার সঙ্গে থাকে আর কি। তো এখানটা আমাদের ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলে 19টা ডিস্ট্রিক্টে এই বইমেলা হয়। এছাড়া ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলের বাইরে ত্রিপুরা, গুয়াহাটি, শিলচর, ইনফ্যাক্ট আসামের শিলচরে সবথেকে বেশি বাঙালি পপুলেশন আছে এবং যেখানটায় বাংলা বই ওখানটায় সবথেকে বেশি বিক্রি হয় আসামে। এছাড়া অল ইন্ডিয়ার বিভিন্ন জায়গায় যেখানে বাংলা পকেট আছে সেই জায়গাগুলোতে আমরা ভিপিপির মাধ্যমে অথবা অ্যামাজনের মাধ্যমে, ফ্লিপকার্ট, এরকম নানা মাধ্যম আছে যাদের মাধ্যমে আমরা বই পাঠিয়ে থাকি।
I'll forget after that. What he's saying is this, that in Bengal there is no concept of distribution at all. You know, the publishers sell directly to the end user, and if a reader wants a book, he will go to the publisher directly. Publisher will advertise the book. Publisher will let it know to the reader directly, and there is no distribution network at all. Apart from this, he says that there are 19 districts in Bengal. In all 19 districts, book fairs do take place. And beyond Bengal also, there are book fairs in Guwahati, in Tripura, and in Silchar. He particularly mentioned Silchar is one of the major hub of Bengali books selling. And so in these areas, they participate in the book fairs. Or even beyond the book fairs, if an order comes, they send the books by BPP.
Are there bookstores where books retail?
Yeah. আমাদের অ্যাকচুয়ালি দেজ পাবলিশিংয়ের মধ্যে যত বাংলা বই বেরোয়, ওখানে যত পাবলিশার্স আছে বাংলায়, তাদের সমস্ত বই আমাদের ওখান থেকে পাওয়া যায় এবং ডিস্ট্রিবিউট হয়। এটা একটা আলাদা সেক্টর, আলাদা ভাগ আছে। এবং আমাদের অন্যান্য ওয়েস্ট বেঙ্গলের আরও 7টা জায়গায় আমাদের ফ্র্যাঞ্চাইজি হয়েছে, যেখানটায় দেজ পাবলিশিংয়ের নামেই ফ্র্যাঞ্চাইজি হয়েছে, যেখানে সমস্ত বই, বাংলা সমস্ত বই ওখানটায় পাওয়া যায়।
Yeah, so that way this publishing is a sort of an innovator, one can say. I'm adding this. Innovator in the sense that apart from being a big publishing house, they are a very big distributing house also. It's called Days Bookstore also. Days Publishing, Days Bookstore, 2 different entities. So Days Bookstore virtually cater to the need of the market in a very big way. All the Bengali books worth its salt will be available in the Days Bookstore. And apart from Calcutta, they have 7 more franchises in other parts of Bengal. Though franchises, but the name is Days Bookstore. So through that also they are distributing the books.
Ruby, you've spoken often about how challenging it is as a new publisher to have your books distributed. What has been your experience? And it's been 2 years now, 3 years since Adivan?
Yes, so initially I would make phone calls to people and they would straight away tell me, so what kind of publishing do you do? So indigenous writings? No, we're not interested. So without even having looked at the books, they kind of shut us down. And then before we couldn't really get onto Flipkart, for example, because there was this process of screening books and all of that, and or you had to go through local distributors. But now that they don't care, your book is a commodity, you can be on them. So we've been able to. So primarily the big bookstore chains didn't even write back or give us an appointment to meet them. So it was really, really difficult. However, the alternate bookstores, like in Kolkata, we have Earth Care Books, we have People Tree in Delhi and Goa. They kind of read about us and got in touch with us. So it's been these small bookstores that have kept us in circulation. And of course, we have Flipkart and Amazon. But when it comes to indigenous books, for example, we have a lot of fairs, not really book fairs, but along with the food, you also have stalls that have books now. So you'll have potatoes on one side and you'll have books laid out on the other. But yes, all sells.
Yes, I think this is also true. If someone is from Punjab here, I've heard that Punjab books sell in like the melas and mandis in alongside vegetables. And this is also something that our earlier speaker on Publishing Next a couple of years ago, a Santali writer, he was saying how the Santali writers just take each other's books, they self-publish and take each other's books and carry it to the melas and mandis.
Yes, it's a great collaboration. So this is what people have been doing. So in villages, people go from house to house and they display books and they tell you about it. So you can kind of find people who would do that for you. And another thing that's been happening with the book market and distribution is there are a few bookstores in bigger cities like Ranchi, for example, that would keep your books. And mostly now it is about visibility, and people are now sending us requests, for example, of the kind of books they want to see in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Now, traditionally, we've been self-publishing. So people write their own books. They, even if the quality is like a photocopy and staple, you know, but they are still books. People take great pride in them. But now we are learning and getting involved in technology and producing books better. So when people look at our books, for example, which are better produced, you know, it's a great joy when they say, oh, they're so nice to look at, they feel beautiful. And now we've kind of set a standard where they also want to move from this photocopying style to a better style. Yeah. Yes. So
since we're on the subject and Kinjal is in the audience, Kinjal is the CEO of Crossword Books. I just wanted to know what is the policy of a bookstore like Crossword Books for an independent publisher's books who only has like 3 or 4 titles in their list? Is that something that you discourage because of the size of the inventory, or why is it that retail stores do not take smaller publishers seriously? And if a mic could please be reached to Kinjal.
Thanks for the question. First of all, I think I'm here for this session very early morning. I couldn't attend yesterday because of some work. Because of this, we have a lot of interest, part of Crossword Bookstores, in the Indian regional languages. We have done headway. However, the headway is not strong. I think still 90%, 95% of our business comes from English, 5% comes from regional. On your particular question of discouragement, I don't think we discourage. I think we'd love to encourage people. Somewhere the connect is not there. So either we've not been able to connect to them, nor they've been able to connect to us. One of the challenges that we face also is we have huge attrition of people who do buying and merchandising. They are not constant. So because there is an attrition level problem, if they would have got in touch with someone, that person would have left after a year or year and a half, and hence the connect has not happened. The reason I am here is that we want to connect with you all. I think very, very clear, very, very clearly we have a store in Ranchi. We have multiple stores in Calcutta. We're growing in Calcutta. We opened in Bhubaneswar. We are opening 3 more in Bhubaneswar. So very clearly I am here because we want to connect. Thank you.
No, this is Crossword Bookstore. Thank you, Kinjal.
Thanks.
But perhaps it would be a good thing to advertise on your website how best publishers could reach you.
It is already there. So there is already on our website a very clear communication there to reach up to Sonal Gandhi, who heads the buying and merchandising of books. But the challenge that we face is that we've not been able to in touch with them because the canvas is huge, right? We ourselves are opening stores, so there are tons of things that we ourselves are doing. Plus, we are in touch with 400 distributors, probably thousands of authors on a regular basis. So it gets really difficult to get in touch one-to-one. But the reason we are here is this, that we want to touch base with single independent authors, single independent publishers. We would love to showcase them in our stores.
So I hope all of you will, in tea break,
please
surround Kinjal and present your books. So quickly.
Mr. Kinjal, could you just tell me what is the business you are doing in Bhubaneswar?
You mean, what is your question exactly before he answers?
How it is doing the crossword in
How
Bhubaneswar?
well crossword is doing in Bhubaneswar?
Just opened the store in Bhubaneswar 4 months back. The store is a franchise store with one of the biggest owners of all that jazz, which is a hypermarket, which is a department store concept. The store is not picked up yet, primarily because we've not been able to launch it. The franchisee is still in the learning phase. We expect to open 7 to 8 stores with him across all his retail formats, and hence you will see traction from now on. The store is just 3 months old. It's slightly, I would say the franchise is taking time in learning, primarily because of be it monetary problems in terms of investment or in terms of understanding the business, because this business is not an easy business to kind of manage.
Thank you, because I have visited that store and I have seen what is happening there. That's why I just wanted to know now how much you are aware of it.
Okay. Andre, I just want to sort of bring this discussion into how, because distribution is fairly organized in European countries, the density of bookstores is very high. But are there differences in smaller countries like Slovenia? Because our perception comes from what we see in Germany, for instance. But
back to what Kanan said about the German system, he was so happy to see that publishers just need to publish the books and don't worry about the distribution. And probably you would like something like that, to have a big distributor that would be intermediate between the publishers and the bookstores. Actually, we teach at Publishing Studies that it's happening in the underdeveloped book ecosystem that the publishers are doing also the distribution. But nothing to worry about in India. We have the same system in Slovenia, and quite a few other, at least Eastern European, former East European countries have the same, whereas US, France, Spain, United Kingdom, and especially Germany, they have big distributors. We still sell around, I would say, 70% of the book in the bookstores, although they are disappearing, as you might have noticed also in India. So this is quite a question, what will happen next. But another thing we teach at the departments for studies is it also that you need to adapt to the local standards, and you've mentioned Flipkart quite a few times. And one of the ways how to show how to adapt is exactly Flipkart. We usually say Flipkart is a spin-off of Amazon model, but they made it accessible for the Indian people because they made a huge difference in how you can pay. You can pay by cash. In the US, everyone has a credit card or 6, but no, it is not the case in India. So this is the adaptations you need to make if you want to keep your business running.
Absolutely, and one of the innovations, one of the innovations that News Hunt in its former avatar, Daily Hunt, you shouldn't have rebranded just now. Daily Hunt has done is the ability to just pay through your phone, the telecom operator. And that just, that is the next level of even cash in some ways, because most people would have a phone connection. Yes, Kanan, you said.
Just one quick point. There are new Tamil bookshops opening across Tamil Nadu. In the last few years, all the landmark bookshops closed in Chennai, but 3 more Tamil bookshops opened up.
Okay, so it's a reverse trend is what you're saying. Yes. I mean, the question of bookshop shutting is quite a matter. But I think organically, over time, bookshops shut and new bookshops open. So I don't know if because there's such a sort of emphasis on, oh, bookshops are shutting, but I also see bookshops opening in cities like Bangalore. The iconic bookshops have shut, 2 of them. But then you also see new interesting bookshops coming around.
আমার মনে হয় যে ইন্ডিয়ার মধ্যে কলকাতায় কলেজ স্ট্রিট অঞ্চলটা একটা বই পাড়া আর কি। ওখানটায় মানে যে কোনো বই খোঁজার জন্য যে কোনো মানুষ যে কোনো সময় এসে পেয়ে যেতে পারে। একটা বিরাট মানে বইয়ের মার্কেট আর কি। একমাত্র যেটা ফুটপাথ জুড়ে দোকান জুড়ে একমাত্র অবস্থিত হচ্ছে কলেজ স্ট্রিট বই পাড়ায়।
What he's saying is that in Calcutta, College Street book market is a unique thing, because this is in one place that you have one shop window for everything you need so far as book is concerned. Rows of books, bookshops, and in front of them rows of book stands on the footpath, and you can browse old books also there. So College Street that way is even the government is trying to declare it as a heritage area.
Since we have many publishers here who can actually comment on some of the discussions we are happening, I'd like to just take a bit of time to ask Mr. Gandhi Kannadasan, Mr. Sunil Mehta, Mr. Subhabrata, they all leading publishers in their languages sitting in the audience here. One of, I think in Maharashtra, for instance, Mr. Mehta, the book fairs are a very, very, and they're private book fairs. These are not book fairs organized by the publishers, industry bodies or the government. These are private book fairs that travel. And that seems to be the best way for people to buy books. Am I right? And if you could just comment on how this is organized in Maharashtra. Can a mic please be reached to Mr. Mehta? Mr. Mehta is the publisher of Mehta Publishing, one of the leading Marathi publishers. They're Pune based.
Thank you, Vinita. What you told is right nowadays that many of the booksellers have been converted themselves into exhibitors. I would say like 50 to 20 booksellers have been converted, or they are in the stage that they exhibit all the publishers' books in various districts. Also, new booksellers are coming up. Then there are many booksellers who are just library suppliers. And nowadays, because of Amazon, there are many booksellers who are just like booksellers on that platform. Regarding crosswords, what Kinjal said, he's right actually, but they have to see that many of the bookstores should be open in the prime areas with some large square foots. Like in Dadar, I would say there is no shop of crossword where the language books could be shown there. Whereas in Pune, 14 or 15 bookshops are there of crosswords, which are doing very, very good. And I would not actually discourage Kinjal, but the administration part of the crossword Bombay is not a good one, where he has to look
Tea time conversation. Tea time conversation.
So Kinjal, I'm very sorry to say this, but they are doing good. They are doing good.
Mr. Dev is here from Agartala. He is the publisher of Akshar Publications, which Nirmal Da had earlier mentioned, who publish in 5 languages, including Bangla, Kokborok, and the other tribal languages, which I have forgotten.
He calls it Okhar.
Okhar, correct. And Bangla, when I was in Agartala on his invitation earlier this year, I kept hearing from many of the writers there that the Bangla writers of Tripura don't get recognized by the Bengali publishing industry in West Bengal. Mr. Dev, if you could just talk about how it is to publish out of Tripura and try to connect to Kolkata.
Yeah, there are 2 big brothers, Kolkata and Dhaka. We are a very small state. In Agartala, we are actually dealing with less than 40 lakhs population. Tripura, is a very small state, comprising 8 states and 10,500 kilometers. This is the smallest one in our country. So in this 40 lakhs, there are 5-6 languages, and we are publishing on these languages. And we are happy that we are also a publisher of Bangla book. And I am sharing with Opu, that is Shubhankar. His nickname is Opu. So we have taken the distribution of our books in our own hand. We have got our distribution office at Kolkata, Dhaka, and Delhi also. So we are taking, there is no concept of distribution, but we have designed like this. And regarding bookshop, the thing is going on here. Our experience is a bit different. In Agartala, there are 5-6 new bookshops come out in last 10-15 years. Those are who are selling language books, and inspiring from that, we have also reconstructed our new bookshop, and it has been opened in the month of May last. And we are mainly dealing with language books, and yes, our sale come up at least 10 times from our previous setup. So this is the experience. We are mainly dealing with language books, mind it. And yes, our Bengali authors, those books we are publishing from Tripura, yes, they are struggling like us for their identity in the big market of Kolkata and Dhaka. Because we are having two big brothers, I told you, Dhaka and Kolkata.
Thank you, Mr. Deb. I'm quickly going to call on Mr. Gandhi Karnadasan, who has also been the former president of BAPASI, which is the Booksellers and Publishers Association of South India, a very strong association which runs the Chennai Book Fair. And since you're familiar with the Tamil publishing landscape, even beyond your own company, a few comments about what maybe we left out in this discussion.
Thank you, Vinoda. Actually, what happens in the Chennai Book Fair is the only book fair which has a season ticket.
Yes.
No other book fair has got the season ticket. That is the whole of the season you can come for the Chennai Book Fair. And then to adding upon to what Mr. Manu has said, see, Manuji, actually you said that academic booksellers are more and then the non-academic booksellers are less. What is happening with our cases, in my own case, publications case, see, the academic booksellers can sell books only for 6 months. That is from February to June, July, right? Then the rest of the 6 months, they are idle. So what we made use of them is, we started feeding them the books, okay? Through we have 4 branches, okay? We are educating them. Those books are in front of the colleges, in front of the schools. So we are able to do that. Anyway, our Tamil network, as far as our experience are concerned, Mr. Kannan Sundaram has rightly said, we have enough bookshops to sell, and we have a very strong library movement that also buys books, and our readerships are more. And every district, there is a book fair happening. And most of them are run by, most of the districts, the IAS officers who are the collectors in those districts support us. Right from the concluded Madurai Book Fair, which was conducted by BAPASI, actually it was with the support of the collector. The collector says, and moreover, we have enough guest GOs passed by the earlier government. One GO, when I was a president, one GO was passed by Mr. Karnanidhi, the then Chief Minister, is every bus stand, that is, you know, that, but not I'm talking bus stop, it's talking about bus stand, okay?
Bus stand.
Yeah, every village bus stand and bus stands will have a bookshop, of Tamil bookshop. So the priority is given only for the Tamil bookshop. There is a GO, okay? And with that GO, one can apply to the Panchayat or to the municipality, whoever is maintaining the bus stand. You can take a bookshop there, and you can display your Tamil books and sell one. And second thing is, wherever BAPASI conducts the book fair, there is a GO, and in all the government places, the rent given by the government and quasi-government bodies, like tourism department, fisheries department, that is the same rent BAPASI can pay. So we need not pay any commercial rent to conduct a Madras Book Fair. So to conduct a book fair in any districts. So any districts, government land, you can take it up where the exhibition grounds where the exhibitions happen, and there is a GO. We will be paying what the government agencies are paying.
Okay.
So that has promoted us to very vast readership. And the distribution network is, some of them they don't pay, but we're still able to collect. And fantastic distribution network. And anytime, Manuda said that they print 200 copies and 300 copies. Even for reprint, we print not less than 1,500 copies. So that's such a strong market we have.
That's good to know.
You have very good readership. Because of the book fairs, the reading habit has picked up.
Thank you. Thank you for that input. I'm going to just reorient the discussion from literary publishing to, I mean, and you rightly identified there aren't academic books in the languages the way there is literature being published in the languages. And we are now seeing a sort of a reversal in a sense that now an English language publisher like Sage, for instance, is publishing in 8 languages, Vivek? Okay. So I want, Vivek Mehra, CEO of Sage, we heard him speak yesterday, but this is something that he identified as a need and has invested in, and I'd like him to talk about that program with us today.
Thanks, Vinuta. Earlier we did publish in 7, but those were with partnerships in each one of those languages. After 7 years of trying to make it work, 7 seems to be a magic number with me. 7 years of trying to make it work, we kind of withdrew all the partnerships. We're going at it alone. So this year we're going to do Hindi and Marathi, and hopefully Bangla next year. And the whole idea is to actually build the infrastructure that's needed, not just for translations, but even original works in each one of the languages we choose to publish in. Our focus is less on bookstores, less on reliance on retail. There is a lot of support, goes back to your comment on statehood, a lot of support at the state level for academic works, libraries to be stocked, and that's the area we would like to focus on. The general publishing area, there are a lot of players and a lot of occupation out there, but I think we have a valuable contribution in the library space.
What kind of books would you be publishing, Vivek, in this? What areas have you identified for publishing in the languages?
I wouldn't say that all the primary reference works would fit in, but somewhere between secondary reading, textbooks, and stuff that is in our core area, sociology, research methods, psychology. These are the areas that we would be focusing on.
Okay. I'd like to open up the panel for questions and answers. We have about 15 minutes. So if anyone has a question. Actually, I noticed Alind is also here. Alind represents a big Hindi publisher, Rajkamal Prakashan. We'll get to hear his work in another panel, which is why I didn't ask you to comment. But if you'd like to share some thoughts that we've missed out that are pertinent to Hindi publishing, Anil, आप हिंदी में बोलिए.
I think distribution is a problem which everyone is facing in English or Hindi or any regional languages. But we have to work together to solve this. There's no other alternative. We have to.
How do you think we can work together across the country?
Right now
partnerships, or how would it?
Right now, it's the best solution is e-commerce or e-books. We can we can build our e-commerce websites or apps, or tie with all the leading e-commerce platforms. It's the best solutions right now. We can get rid of it.
On that note, I'd just like to ask the panelists and the publishers in particular, how ready are you to sort of go digital? If there is an interest, and secondly, how much investment are you making to sort of explore the digital products? One is digital books as well as online selling, and you will have to.
Already নিউজহ্যান্টের সঙ্গে আমাদের ই-বুকসের এগ্রিমেন্ট হয়েছে এবং অন্যান্য আরও বেশ কয়েকটা কোম্পানির সঙ্গেও আমাদের ই-বুকের কথাবার্তা চলছে। তো আমার মনে হয় যে মানে এখন আমার মার্কেটটা দেখা যেটুকু দেখলাম আর কি, অন্তত প্রায় 100টা বইয়ের ইবুক হয়েছে নিউজ হান্ট, ডেলি হান্টের সঙ্গে। তাতে যা দেখছি তাতে যারা ইবুক পড়ে আমার মনে হয় যে তারা হার্ড বুক কম পড়ে আর কি, তারা ইবুকেই বেশি স্বাচ্ছন্দ্য। আবার যারা হার্ড বুক পড়ে তারা ইবুকটা কম পড়ে। কেননা যে জায়গা থেকে ইবুকের নিউজ হান্টের যে জায়গাগুলো থেকে আমাদের বইগুলো পারচেজ হয়েছে ইবুক, তাতে আমার মনে হয়েছে যে ওরা কখনো ডিরেক্ট বই আমাদের কাছ থেকে বা অন্যান্য জায়গা থেকে আমার মনে হয় যে খুব একটা নেয় না।
So all these 100 books, Desh Publishing. So Desh Publishing has gone into e-books in a rather big way, and they have a collaboration with Daily Hunt, and Daily Hunt has already published 100 books of Desh Publishing into e-books. And what Shubhankar feels that there is a sort of a divide between the readership of e-book and the hard copy. Those who read the e-book, they do not really care for hard copy, and those who are in the hard copy, they don't read e-books. Right?
Looks like we are adding readers through e, so that you're not sort of losing readers to.
না, এখানে যারা নতুন পাঠক এই জায়গাটায় তৈরি হয়েছে, যারা ইবুক পড়ছে, এটা আমাদের নতুন পকেট আর কি। এখান থেকে এই মার্কেটটা একেবারেই নতুন।
So there is quite a new market, and as Vinuta suggests, I think he quotes also that they are not losing market at all. They are adding to the market. And since the microphone is in my hand, I like to make a comment and a request. Comment is to Mr. Gandhi. Gandhi always told truth, but you know, in case of your declaration regarding season ticket in Chennai, the concept was very much there in Bengal also. you said nowhere in the country, you know. But now what has happened in Bengal? This is such a hugely popular book fair in Calcutta. It is almost evolved into a cultural icon. But now, courtesy Mamata Banerjee, everything is season ticket because there is no ticket at all. She came and she declared there will be no ticket. Okay.
Please speak into the mic here. No, we need recording. It would be nice to have your comments on the camera. Please carry on.
No, there is no action replay. Okay, so now what is happening is that the similarity, but we always aspire to come near Calcutta Book Fair. We are next to Calcutta Book Fair in Indian book fairs. One day we will beat you guys.
Okay. Great.
Wow.
Great. I look forward to that day. Okay.
No. Sorry. I'm going to, because I have very little time, Dada.
Yes, I have one small request on your behalf.
On my behalf.
On your behalf, actually, it's not that we get to hear about Sautali every other day.
True.
So since Ruby is here, Adibani publishes in English, but I would like to hear a little about what is the situation in Sautali literature. Did it improve after the 8th schedule inclusion? What is the readership?
I may not have statistics, but we've always been publishing before even we were included in the 8th schedule. So there's a lot of literature in all the 5 scripts. But as Adivani, I want to share a small story. So the first book we did was in Roman Santali, only because the manuscript was ready. It was my father's book. You know, that's how we work. So I took it to the printing press, and the cover of the book is black, and you have the Santal dancing girls in one line right across. And the book is about the Santals' lifestyle, the peoples, and all of that. So the lady at the printing press looks at it. She knows very well that it is about Santals, and people in Bengal would know the Santals. So she looks at it and she says, well, why don't you change this black to a cheery yellow or a bright maroon? because black is too sophisticated a color for the very backward Santals. So not knowing a Santal is sitting in front of her, but that's what it was, and that's been my experience. So I was in tears, but I was like, okay, the battle goes on. But yes, we stuck to black. That's our cover. Yeah.
Before I saw your hand go up, but just quickly, Kannan, your digital readiness at Kalachodu, you've also launched ebooks through Daily Hunt?
Yeah, I was just waiting to hear in the Chennai Book Fair, the readers come and ask me where are the ebooks, and they give me the reasons why they think that they need ebooks. So I got the reasons the last couple of years. One thing is, there's no space to keep books in our homes. We have the money to buy books. And of course, there is this technological advancements where now Tamil fonts are readable across all the platforms. So this year we have started, I'm working with a company called Book Connect to convert all my books into ebooks. We have done about 25 books now. Maybe we'll have a launch after we do 50 or 100 books. Also planning to launch our website. Already all our hard copies are on sale in many platforms which sell Tamil books. So, and digitally, we are trying to adapt to technology where easily our books can be converted to EPUBs. So we are working on all that.
Just so that I can take a few questions before we close, and Titash's hand was up, and I'll come to you shortly. Just one moment. Titash there.
Yeah, so forgive me if this is a naive question, but I feel all through this 2 days of conference we've been talking about moving to platforms and taking technological choices. I feel as a reader, and I've felt this for a long time, that there's not enough being done to celebrate reading and promote reading fundamentally to tide the wave of not reading. So the problem really is that we are not addressing behavioral aspects of the newer generation and the existing things. So there's the counter force of social media and technology and video. And if we have to really do something fundamentally in reading, it also has to take into account that some behavioral things like more book fairs or more promotion amongst the younger generation needs to be done. So as publishers, is that something that is on the roadmap for all of you?
It's not a naive question at all, and very pertinent question. Are publishers invested in creating their readers?
I won't say we are doing it in a very big way. Probably we can do more, but I do a lot of meetings in universities and colleges, and we make a point to gift our books to students whenever we are doing such meetings. And we are on Facebook and other media in a small way to promote. But what I want to add is that I sit in Chennai Book Fair every year for 10 days, from morning to night, watching my readers. And I'm very happy to see there are more and more young readers in their 20s walking into my bookshop and wanting to buy very high quality Tamil literary Tamil books. So that's a very heartening trend for me. We had a meeting called Atte Tingal where organized in Coimbatore, in Chennai, in Salem and Madurai, where we would invite an important writer and he would speak about his life and times and writings, and then the readers would interact with them. So we do all these kind of things to promote writing. But the most important thing is that though everybody keeps saying that the youth do not read, it's almost a truism in Tamil Nadu, it's completely wrong. Youth are reading more than at any time past in the history of Tamil language.
And you won't find a place to conduct any literary event during Saturday, Sunday because everything will be filled.
For literary events.
Yeah, so that's happening in Chennai.
Also a lot of events in bookshops.
Yeah. All these things that happen after the Chennai Book Fair.
Okay. The mic to this lady here, please. Deepra.
So my question connects with Shubhankar. I think a lot of the publishing, especially in the academic and the semi-academic, that sort of straddles literature and the analysis of literature, etc., is connected to academics and education and universities and that kind of sector. And I think that this e-publishing is something that many authors themselves are not ready for, even if the publishing industry is gung-ho about it. I mean, many publishers may be really ready for this. But you're right, this is a different market. And many authors themselves who may want to show a hard copy of their book in job interviews for assistant or associate professorships and journal articles and say that we're published, you know, give us a job. They might not want to show Kindle saying, you know, hey, this is an ebook, or, you know, we are published on some portal. It's not good enough. They want to show a shiny book. They want to show that they are published in OUP, Rutledge, whatever. These are still things which are important in the academic sector, in Ivy League universities where you want to go and search for jobs. So maybe publishers are really wanting to sell this. But hey, look at whom you're publishing for. You're finally publishing for corporate universities and people who want to look for jobs there. So
not really.
No? Not really true?
No.
Okay, so what's your experience about this? I was just sharing my experience.
This is on a practical side, from a publisher's point of view. Getting jobs and getting all of them, nobody carries books anywhere. It's impossible. Yes. Take my word on it. Take my word on it. If Philip Kotler had to take his books, the set would weigh 15 kilos. That's the amount of work he has published.
No,
V. Kumar would take about 20 kilos. So,
but in general, I think our recruitment systems do not really have. They don't add advantage if you're published. It is not.
No, there is advantage to publishing,
no,
but the
English,
CV,
yes. English,
but the CV carries the links to where where the publishing can be verified.
Exactly,
and it's got nothing to do with the hard copy.
There is an advantage to be published in English, yes. But there is no advantage to being published as a textbook author in, say, in Kannada. You carry that book, it's not going to give you extra weight if you are negotiating.
Textbooks,
I mean, that's the only kind of academic publishing that takes place in the languages.
In the academic world, it's your CV with all the links to where you've published.
We're talking about academic world in English, Vivek.
I agree, but even in the Indian languages, in the academic, whatever research I have seen, they are more concerned about the publishing, less about the physicality of it.
Nobody carries the book physically anymore.
But Neeta wants to add a point.
Can I just add one?
One second, I'll come to you. Yes, Dr. Anil.
Yeah, I tend to agree to her to a very little extent, in the sense that authors would like to display books in their cabins and homes rather than carry it for interviews, actually. Because for physical exhibition, that makes a great point. And I know a lot of faculty members, even if it is an e-version, they would prefer have a print and display it. Yeah.
No, the advantage of being digitally ready is you can have products in both. Meaning, if you plan your production process properly in XML structure, you can output to a print, you can output to an ebook. So that does not stop you from producing ebooks at any rate. Yes, Indra.
No, mobility in the academic world, I agree with Deepra, does depend on publications, especially now with all these damned rankings that have come into university.
I will say in English.
No, in any language. I'm sorry, Vinita, I'm married to an academic, so I know the structure. In any language, if you teach Tamil in Madras University, you need to show publications in order to be mobile, upwardly mobile in your career, or to even get a job. Okay, so but you don't have to carry your books to an interview. You can show a list of your, it could be an e-book, it could be a journal publication, etc., etc. And I think there's a problem about, let's not knock authors, academic publishers especially live off the knowledge, the body of knowledge that these authors bring to us. And so what if they, I'm responding to our librarian friends' remarks about authors wanting to display their books on their bookshelves at home. Why not?
No, I don't think he'd sort of, one second, Neeta is waiting for the mic.
About getting published in journals, because I publish a journal on translation. and I've noticed, when authors send in essays, they often send in an essay to be printed just in time for some review, interview, or some kind of a thing, so that that essay could make a difference in them getting a promotion. And it's a Hindi, it's a bilingual journal in Hindi. It's an academic bilingual journal, which is highly respected in most of the universities, the translation departments in Indian universities. So it does make a difference, even publishing an article in Hindi or Tamil or wherever for promotion.
Yeah, I mean, now with the point system in place.
Yeah.
But for example, if you're teaching Tamil language, what are the journals in which you can be published? I'm very curious actually to know. For academic mobility, what journals?
Actually, they give a list, and when you publish books recently, they have added a note saying that it has to be a ISBN publication. So publishers made a lot of money with that, selling ISBN numbers to academic authors. And also, they also list these are publications that where you publish, we'll consider it. Unfortunately, a few years back, my journal came into that review. So I was dumped with a lot of research magazine. So every day, I will get requests from all these papers, But thing is, there is a lot of very good research and academic work being done in Tamil, but almost none of it is from the universities. It is being done by school teachers, it is being done by journalists, it's being done by all sort of people, except the academics in Tamil Nadu. So if you go to Chennai Book Fair, there are publishers who would publish PhD theses. You'll find out by seeing that there'll be the only empty bookshop in the entire crowded Chennai Book Fair. Even myself, if I publish an academician, I make point not to mention that he's a professor anywhere in the cover.
Okay, the mic has to reach Jose there. For a quick question. I've already overshot my 2 hours. So
my question is also connected to yesterday's academic publishing. I once read a graphic novel called Logicomics, which explained the mathematics of Bertrand Russell's equations and all that theorems very beautifully. I'd like to know, in academics as well as in the Indian languages, whether graphic books, graphic novels are really being used as a tool for explaining, for educating children, or for telling stories in various languages as well as in colleges.
Does anyone want to take this question here? I don't know how many have done. Yeah. I think the straight answer is no. And the reasons for that are, I think, it requires a wider discussion, which I would perhaps keep out of it just now because I'm waiting to close. Because if we get into that, that's going to be a big discussion. Why that doesn't?
No, it is no because it is not in the syllabus.
Okay. I mean, children's book publishers are trying to use picture books. Of course they are. There are many publishers now doing that. But whether literary publishers are doing it for children, no. There are specialized children's publishers who are trying to do that, yes. And I think it'll grow 2 hours. There's so much more to discuss. And I still haven't brought up 3 other points that were in my mind that I would have liked the speakers to talk about. But I'm so glad to see you all here. Thank you for joining us for the discussion today. The next session now is a presentation on book printing. We've heard so much about and digital and all the